Awesome. Thank you. Solar, how do you like your coffee?
Dark like my soul, laced with some dark matter.
Roasted with dark matter.
Roasted with dark matter, yeah.
Lovely, lovely.
I can't believe you put cream in your coffee.
Why can't you believe it? How you doing? At what time?
You see how he just
after
leaves
3
me for
p.m.
better
Okay.
things?
How can I find you?
My friend, introduce yourself.
You know me. Is it just for your
my
audience?
For my audience.
My name is Salar Javid, and I'm a space enthusiast and mining engineer by background.
We're here at Creative Destruction Lab. You've been a mentor in what is known as the Minerals program,
Yeah.
Which is largely focused on mining activities.
Yeah.
And you recently, this is your first year where you've started participating in the space stream.
Yeah, actually, the space stream was my first stream.
Oh, it was your
I got
first stream.
invited halfway through last year as
Awesome.
a guest, and then Fergus was kicking off the minerals program at the very early stages of it. They didn't know if it was going to be a global thing or whatever, but that's how I got introduced to the minerals program.
Right. And you're also an angel investor in the space industry now.
I try.
So you're building your name out, your brand a little bit.
I dabble.
Well, so let's talk about how did you find yourself at the intersection of mining and space technology?
My interest in space started at the beginning with astronomy, and then it evolved to robotics. And when I was going to school, when I was starting school, I didn't know if I should go to electrical, mechanical, whatever. And I went to Queen's, and they have a first year that's a general program. Mm-hmm. So you go through the different disciplines, and you get to choose what discipline you want to go in second year. So mining, I went to the mining open house, and one of the profs over there said, hey, if you really like this stuff, there's barely even automation. Mechanization just started in mining. Automation doesn't exist. So
age yourself a little bit. What period are we talking about here?
Late 90s, early 2000s.
Okay.
And so I'm like, okay, that seems like you can land out of school, get a job, travel lots of the world. Adventure and curiosity are one of my core values. And I'm like, oh, this sounds like a good idea. But I actually got myself through school by writing bursary grant applications saying, why are you coming into mining? I would say, because I want to go to space. It was kind of a weird conversation to have, of course, at the time. It was a very foreign idea.
You were heavily influenced by Bruce Willis in Armageddon?
More Ben Affleck than Bruce Willis, but yeah.
Or was Ben Affleck influenced by you?
But look, that's where I thought I saw a lot of the overlaps. And then when I got into the industry, I actually started getting into high-tech related things in mining. And one of the things I did early on was the justification, design, build, and operating the first ever remote operating center for Rio Tinto, which was in Gillette, Wyoming, the pilot program. And that's where I was hired right out of school.
You started that from the ground up, like within Rio?
Within Rio, yeah.
Nice. And was that something that Rio wanted to do, or was that an idea you brought to them? Because I've always found Rio to be a forward-thinking technology organization.
Yeah, it was Rio's idea. It wasn't the way it's portrayed to be now, but a lot of the concepts were there. And at the time, it was a
technologically, it was probably still a little early.
It was early.
Yeah.
And we had to really trailblaze, find the right technologies to pull together. That's where I started. And then later on, I got hired on with Barrick for their Mine of the Future program, which involved a lot of autonomy and so on and so forth. It's, again, parallels towards autonomous operations in mining and space exploration, bringing these things together. I always stuck to that, knowingly or unknowingly.
So did you see much Earth observation or remote sensing in your time within the mining sector?
As a part of the remote operations, there was a grander type of thing, was just extended outside of operations, and it was going to go into planning and technical services and geology and so on and so forth. So there was a lot of talk, and I was involved in some conversations based around that, and later in my career. But that's where the Earth observation stuff came in, was really within my career in Barrick, and then with a consulting company that I started. The start of it really happened with the introduction of some machine learning and intelligence on the side. That's where I got super interested in it, because the capability of digesting that information was still human-based, and it was limited. So I think right now we're sitting at a precipice of AI, Earth observation, mining, all bringing these things together.
How much did you see the use, or I should say the utilization of space technology change over your career in mining? Can you give us maybe a little anecdote of your very early days in the industry, and then maybe what you've seen more recently, just to show like the contrast in how it's changed?
Yeah, so one thing that was super revolutionary within mining was the introduction of GPS. So GPS was really enabled that next level of precision in terms of navigation, positioning, route planning, with it for autonomy or fleet management systems and so on and so forth. And later on with high precision GPS for knowing exactly where you are so you can start drilling holes and digging the right stuff.
Yeah.
And the effective utilization of that has been problematic within the mining industry, not necessarily the introduction, because it was introduced fairly on 90s as when GPS became civilian use. And I was early on in terms of the implementation of those technologies. What has changed and evolved is telecom, or communication and networks, and IoT. So the use of, we had to deploy massive infrastructure to be able to connect all these devices together. And I think right now with the introduction of Starlink and LTE, incorporating all the GPS technology within communication for the timing purposes and so on and so forth, I think we're going to go through a next wave of GPS, again, becoming more precise, but also access to data becoming a lot more ubiquitous.
Totally. Really cool. If you were a student coming out of school today, and now you're doing it today, so the space industry is at where it is today, not when you came out of school, and you were young and ambitious and you wanted to start a company.
I am young and ambitious, and I do want to start a company, James.
But let's pretend you're just coming out of school then.
Okay.
Where would you start a company in the space industry today?
I don't know how feasible it is. Ideas that I've been brewing is to create a layer in this industry and based around de-risking multiple parts of the business, multiple parts of the industry, from capital, finance, regulation, technology, ESG, environmental, social, government type of thing. And, it's a very similar concept to an integrator in space, or a prime, but on an earlier stage. And I kind of compare that to a mining operating company. A mining operator doesn't own, the technology that it buys from Caterpillar.
Licensing.
They license the technology, or they buy a haul truck, or they buy a ball mill, or they buy whatever, right?
Yep.
They invest in something that's proven, and sometimes they're the instigator of, increasing TRLs of specific technologies.
Right.
But their job is to find the asset that they want to exploit or they want to mine and bring all the right things together for it to become a feasible
that's true.
asset.
Yep.
So a money-making asset.
I mean, quite literally, picks and shovels need to be developed in order for somebody to come in and run a really good operation.
Sure. But it's not just the picks and the shovels. It's the right people to do the job, right?
Experienced people.
Experienced people to do the job.
We'll head back into
the right level of technology we spoke about, the right amount of finances to make that happen, and the interface between the community, the environment, and all that stuff that needs to be done. And that's in parallel with regulations for space and, that dilemmas that we're facing between, is it right to go into space and exploit it, and so on and so forth. So it's, I see...
You have similar legal and political challenges.
Absolutely.
Right?
But again, through time, those have been defined.
Yes, totally.
Okay,
totally.
So why don't we take all of that and learn from it? We may not have a community impact for space exploration, okay, extraterrestrially, but we have a lot of stakeholders on the ground that may be in opposition for us to deface the moon,
Yep.
So I think if I had the capital and the ambition and the drive to do something, would be start constructing a series and bringing together a series of disparate companies and technologies and so on and so forth, and make them in an early stage potentially operate under that umbrella.
You've seen it. You're a fan.
I don't know how that shows up, but that's what I would do.
Awesome. Now, to end it on a fairly serious note, what's your favorite coffee meets space joke?
After today, I think I like my coffee cold like space.
Salar, thanks for chatting with me.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.